The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised. Between science and ignorance, there is filler.
And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Filler. Original broadcast date, August 21st, 2016. Tonight, my guest is Elizabeth Saint. You know her from Ghost of Shepherdstown. She's already on the line. Of course, Coyote Chris Sutton is also on the phone because for some reason he just did not trust me to pull this off by myself. But
Nope.
We have an event coming up next month with Elizabeth in Maxwell, Iowa. Maxwell, Iowa, the Farrar Schoolhouse. My first headline event, Chris, and I'm going to Iowa. I guess that's something.
That is.
But everybody, don't forget, Paranormal Filler is brought to you every week by Ken Boggles House of Cards, tarotbyken.com. And I went to the Mystic Fair this weekend and checked in with all of my psychic friends. Actually, most of the crowd has changed. I haven't been for 2 or 3 months, and there was a lot of new faces there. But I did get to see some friends. I got to spend I probably spent an hour and a half talking to Patty Starr about the upcoming Scarefest Horror and Paranormal Convention. That's coming up September 30th through October 2nd. And I don't want anybody to forget that. And otherwise, I have spent the last 2 weeks pretty much sitting at this desk doing graphic work and arranging websites and getting everything ready, because in the ghost hunting biz, autumn is the busy time of year. Getting everything ready on the ramp up to Halloween, and got some good events coming up, and of course the Paranormal Farrar event coming up, and we'll be with Elizabeth in just a minute. So everybody, stick around. And Chris and Elizabeth, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Wes.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, Elizabeth, I'm trying to ride your coattails, so I mean, you're always welcome. That's so I'm aboard this train. But when Chris asked me, and of course he did his little as sad face as you can do on Twitter. He said, "Would you like me to come on when Elizabeth's on?" And I didn't have the heart to tell you no. I can handle it, but
now if you believe that for 2 seconds, Elizabeth.
Well, I did. Okay, I'm just saying. Actually, you know what? Now, I'm taking the heat on this, but I've just noticed that okay, we've done 2 events and got them on the books, and Mr. Chris Sutton is booking beautiful ladies at all the events.
Oh, is he?
Yes, that's true. Yeah, I pick people who are good at what they do. This is not a sexist act by any means of or stretch of the imagination. These people are good at what they do. And so, you want to have people who people know and who know what they're doing. And so, I'm just lucky that that Elizabeth said yes, and our other group of gals said yes, and it just makes me look good.
Well, I have to say, I tried to hire a booth babe for Scarefest, so I am a sexist son of a bitch. If she'd ever come out and actually told me a price, but there's something about me negotiating price with a woman that just made it. I'm thinking, I'm going to be on an episode of Cops. This email's going to get read. Somebody's going to misunderstand. And
you're probably trying to talk to her while she's on the pole or something.
Well, if I knew that was one of her vocations, I probably would have went ahead and made the offer. So anyway, of course, Elizabeth's saying to everybody listening is go. Now, I'm going to warn you, Elizabeth. I'll probably call it Shepherdsville before the night's over because we have a town 30 minutes from here called Shepherdsville. But it's Shepherdstown, goes to Shepherdstown. Oddly enough, unlike every other guest I ever have, I've actually watched the show. I think that I have seen it. And congratulations are in order, Elizabeth. Highest rated paranormal premiere, and maybe premiere period, on Destination America.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
And of course, I'd like to say that was because you were on my show 1 hour before it premiered, but I'm too humble to.
I think you were good luck.
That's what I'm like patting a kitten on the tummy. That's
Gosh. Oh.
Now here. Okay, well, go ahead. I'm going to give you some critiques. First of all, tell Bill Hartley to quit trying to look so stoic. I know Bill Hartley. He doesn't do stoic. And all the promotional pictures, all the promo pictures for the show, he's got this stoic look. That's the only way I can describe it. Either that or grumpy, but I'll go with stoic. And I know him, and he's a jolly good fellow. I met him. Well, I talked to him on the radio, but then I met him down in Gettysburg, and that guy, he said, "Oh, I wish I'd have known you came into town early. I'd have took you out to the Gettysburg Park and done all this stuff." He's a swell guy, and to see him frowning on all those banners, it's just.
Yeah, I don't think any one of us looks that happy in any one of those pictures.
No.
But no, yeah, Bill's fantastic. He's hysterical.
Yeah, because if you watch Elizabeth, I mean, and everybody talks about the saint face, which is Elizabeth's stoic face. And if you watch Elizabeth like on Periscope, she's laughing, cutting up, having a great time. And so
on that topic, I'm going to change the banner. I looked at your offering video that you have on your website, Elizabeth.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes, I think I can snag a still picture of either the shot with you with the magnifying glass or maybe the smoke dance. And and we might just totally change your image in the paranormal.
It might, yeah.
Smoke dance?
You watch it. Yeah, she's
You have to watch it.
Okay, I'll watch it. I gotta watch it now.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is really funny.
Yeah, she's.
I like that magnifying glass.
Yeah, it comes up a little blurry.
Bring that on investigations.
Yeah,
I investigate with it.
Yeah, it I saw the of course now the unless it's later in the video. I didn't watch the whole thing, I'll be honest. But if it's unless it comes up again later in the video, it's kind of blurry. They do a soft focus. What it is, people, there's a flower in front of it, and the sharp focus is on the daisy, and then Elizabeth's in the background with the magnifying glass, and the focus is a little soft. And so that's the only reason you did not see it on Twitter tonight.
Oh, jeez.
He'll do it too.
Yeah.
I believe you.
But now another thing, if people have not been paying attention, because I haven't tweeted it yet because I'm waiting for them to actually officially add you to the website. But now you are coming to the Scarefest, September 30th through October 2nd.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, actually, I think they sent out an email or something recently, so I think it's kind of
it's
official.
I don't generally.
I'm excited.
What it is, I don't generally tweet anything until they actually put it on the website, because people will go, well, they're not on the website, And I try to avoid conflict whenever possible.
No, I hear you. Yeah, no, but I'm really excited. I've heard so much about the event. It's nice to be actually going.
I saw some of the other events that you're doing, and I'm not saying they're not quality events, but the Scarefest is completely different as far as any of the Paracons. Now, when you get up in your, some of the bigger horror and pop culture type things, there are a few of them going, especially with The Walking Dead being so popular right now. But yeah, the Scarefest is it's a different animal. It kind of straddles that line, and I will say now, as a VIP, they do treat you good. Now I'm a VIP, they treat me like crap because I've been there so long they don't even notice me.
Don't you do the radio for them?
Well, yeah, but that I'm going to tell you. Okay,
Here we go.
No, I'm just saying. They've known me so long that they assume that I know everything. It's not that I don't want to say they take me for granted. They take it for granted that I know all the ins and outs. And like so if they're giving away, I'll put it this way: if they were giving away a dozen roses to every celebrity, and they were in a little kiosk off to the side, I would be the one that no one would walk by and go, "Oh, go get your flowers." I mean, they'd say they would just assume Wesley knows where the flowers are, and that he will cabbage on them. So, but
I see.
It's. But yeah, I've known, God, I don't even know how long I've known Patty, but I've been to every Scarefest since the second one, and I was a VIP 3 years before I even knew they had a VIP lounge. So if that tells you anything.
Yeah, I didn't know they had one, so I've been a VIP a couple times.
There's a fancy lounge?
No, it's, I mean, cookies and soda pop, that type of thing.
I gotcha.
Yeah. Basic, and what that is, and this is something, I need to write an op-ed about this. But some of the celebrity, basically, they try to keep the celebrities in their booth just as much as possible. So they go out. So they try to keep everything self-contained. So in other words, oh, you want a soda pop? We'll bring you one. Oh, you're hungry? We've got a box lunch for you. We're out in the hallway.
Oh, man.
That.
Well, there's a good reason for that. A lot of them will go out running around. They'll be gone for a couple hours out their booths. So, I can understand why they do that.
Oh, yeah. I'm believe me, they have good reason, but that is the way that works. Now, I do want to know, before we even get into the show now, okay, I've been watching your Twitter feed. Now, tell me the truth. How many marriage proposals have you gotten to date?
Actually, I don't think I've gotten any marriage proposals. I think for the most part, people know that I'm taken.
No.
That doesn't stop them from talking to me. But
okay, well, that was the next question. How many proposals? How many sundry other type of proposals have you got?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you've.
I don't know. I'm very flattered. It's very flattering.
But that.
And I think you mean that too, because you're always so nice to people. You really are. You're nice to people.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't know how crazy I am. So I mean, I just laugh at it. No, it is really flattering, though.
Now, on Ghost of Shepherd's Town, the one thing. Okay, everyone listening, if you can take away one lesson from this show, it's this whole baby shoe thing. That's kind of bullshit, isn't it?
The baby shoe thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was weird that we found them in the first place.
Well,
I never heard of anything like that. It was a little bizarre. I mean, I was in the truck when they found the baby shoe in the safe. Nick was really funny about it. He did not want to touch the thing at all. And then I thought it was really bizarre that we found it in that house in the wall. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what to think about the baby shoe.
Well,
I held on to it.
My thesis is you're called into this town because the paranormal activity is getting stronger and darker. And then in two of your locations, you find and everybody, if you haven't watched the show, what it is, it's an old we'll call it a wives' tale to use a colloquialism.
Right.
But basically, if you and I forget, there's something around in this part of the country that a lot of these old houses, I think it was just a shoe in general. That's what it is. I had heard it before, but it was just a shoe. It didn't have to be a baby shoe.
Yes.
But
I've heard from other people as well.
But you go to these places, you find the baby shoe, and they're still having activity. They're still scared out of their wits. So I'm just saying, I'm calling bullshit on the baby shoe. I don't think the baby shoe works.
Yeah.
So.
I would agree. Just because of how active those locations were, I don't think it works.
Yeah. So everybody, we have debunked the baby shoe as paranormal protection.
Get that out of there. We don't need it anymore.
So let's go ahead and do a commercial break. We'll be right back. Let's get our word from our sponsor in here.
Hello, friends. Are you exhausted with life? Resent your children? Maybe your husband is cheating on you. Get yourself a tarot reading with Ken Boggle. He can provide you with the clarity, guidance, and answers you need. That's tarotbyken.com. He makes things seem less shitty.
And we're back with more Paranormal Filler and guest Elizabeth Saint. Sitting in is Cody Chris Sutton, who I'm barely letting talk because
that's okay. I'm just here to monitor you and make sure you behave yourself.
Oh my God.
Now, okay. Now let's do another Twitter question.
Okay.
Now, I haven't seen it posted on the front end, but how many people have sent you messages saying, "Who are these two old men and why are you hanging around with them?"
That's a good question.
Nobody. I have not gotten that question at all. I think people are really excited about you guys.
Ooh, did you hear that? What?
I heard it. I don't believe a word of it. But, no, actually, I even tell the cons that book me. People who come in the building, some of them will recognize my name. They might recognize my voice, and they will come up. They will say hi. They will say they've listened to the show. But not a single person will ever pay just for me. I'm just convinced that if I just did, hey, come downtown and meet Wes Forsythe, the Paranormal Filler, I'd be a lonely son of a bitch. That's but I probably shouldn't throw that out to the universe, should I, Chris?
No, that's not good at all. That's bad mojo, man. You know, one thing is like, no, I know. I've done 2 Paracons since we've announced this, and I keep a flyer of our banner on my table. I tape it on there, and people will walk up to it and they'll look at the event banner and they see Elizabeth's picture and they see me and they look at me. They look back down. They look back up at me and they look back down. They go, "How do you know Elizabeth Saint?" I said, "Well, for one thing," I said, "we've been on the radio together. That's why." And I said, I would tell them the story. You know, because I asked you, and you said yes.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing it. And they just think that's the oddest thing.
Okay, we need a cooler story than that.
Okay,
we got to come up with something.
Well, hopefully after this event, we'll have a really cool story to share.
That's true. I agree.
Because have you caught up on the the haunting that we're going to, Elizabeth? Have you done your due diligence on that? Do you know anything about the building we're going to?
I do know some things about it. I watched some videos on YouTube and stuff like that, and of course their history on their website.
Well, then that's about all I did.
I haven't watched any shows that I didn't watch the Ghost Stalkers episode they did there. I should probably do that.
The
But, yeah.
Because now, in all seriousness, okay, the overriding entity in the building. Now, people encounter lots of different spirits, ghosts, whatever. But the one that everybody goes in looking for, because he's the one that causes all the trouble, is this principal character. And now, as a sensitive yourself, I'm always interested to see what somebody who really picks up on emotions, because this apparently the basis of this haunting is all about emotion. Him being a dick, the students being afraid of him, all the teachers hating it. Basically, all the ghosts apparently hate this other ghost's guts. To put it in the Reader's Digest condensed version. So there's a lot of in other words, these are emotional ghosts. So I'm wondering how, when you go in, now first of all, your empathy, your sensitivity, is that something that you turn on? Is it something you can turn off? Is it how does this type of thing affect you?
So over the years, in the beginning, before I started investigating 6 years ago, I used to just ignore it all the time, and it was probably the worst thing I could possibly do because it never worked. But as I've been investigating, I have gotten really good at turning it off more, especially like when I'm home and in my own environment. And then when I'm investigating is kind of like when, I don't want to say open myself up, but that's kind of when I turn it on, so to speak.
Okay, no, I can relate to that, because
so yeah.
I don't consider what I do opening up so much as I do turning it on and reaching out. So in other words, in my case, rather than bringing stuff into me, I'm reaching out to it. So that it's always really, when it gets down to it from a psychic level, it is still at arm's distance.
Right, exactly, yeah. I totally agree with you. In the beginning, when I first started investigating, I was not very good at protecting myself in those situations, and I paid for it a bit. I mean, it definitely affected me. But I learned over time what works best for me, and now I go into these situations and I feel like really prepared. So
so everybody, to tell you everyone about the event a little bit, of course, go to Paranormal Filler, click on Paranormal for our. All the details are there. But what we're going to do, everyone, just so you know, that you'll all have plenty of quality time with Elizabeth. We're going to split, assuming that we get enough people to make it worthwhile to split into 3 groups. We're going to do. I've got this really complicated chart that will make us rotate not only between groups but between floors, so that we'll all get to experience the various levels of the building, and all the people will have time with each celebrity. I use the term loosely for 2 of us.
For me. For us.
I was going to say for the 2 of us. And then, of course, everybody... and I enjoy these things because I like seeing how people investigate. I like to. Why? Let me rephrase that. I like to see the ones that go off the farm, that go off the reservation. Not to be, not to insult my shaman friend here, but to, in other words, they get outside of that box. So, and I do get to see a lot of that. Now, a lot of what I see on these investigations is just people mimicking what they saw on TV. But I do love it when I see people, really throw some curveballs on the EVP questions to do different things. Now, since I
agree.
Well, I was going to say, as since you've been on the show now, because when I first talked to you, nobody who knew who the hell you were yet. So I got in at the basement level, but I see that your dance card has filled up quite nicely on looking at your website. The what are you've had some time now to observe people in the field. what are some things that you see that people are doing? Is there anything that you're seeing people do that you like or that you're excited about?
You know, I think one of the best things about this experience has definitely been collaboration for me, especially since I started to design my own paranormal equipment. And I really like to come across people in the field that are into experimenting and trying new things out and stuff like that, because I don't think we're at a place. Because a lot of times, like, even when it comes to equipment, a lot of it's just a variation of the same thing. And I like to come across people that are stepping outside the box and experimenting with different instrumentation and different designs and things like that. So I think that's been the most exciting thing for me so far. I mean, that's what I've been focusing on the past few months.
Hey, have you had any? Go ahead, Chris.
I'm lucky to put batteries in the flashlight, and she's making her own paranormal equipment. That's pretty cool.
Now, that's a question from the chat room. Are you going to be bringing any of your gadgets with you?
Actually, I was talking to Chris about it. I might be sending some things to him and then bringing it. So I definitely want to. I want to be able to show people, you know, what I've been working on and things like that, because I'm trying to get it out to everybody by 2017, definitely fall at the latest. But I've been working really hard to make it available to people.
Now, for the listeners, the translation of that is she doesn't want to try to get through the airport security with a box with meters and lights on it.
Exactly.
That's best. Yes,
I have the best story that happened to me a few weeks ago. I was carrying the Mini E, which is one of my small devices, in my bag, and I was like, oh man, I know this thing, like, if they were to open it up, they would think that it was some sort of bomb because there's just wires everywhere. And I must have looked guilty or something, or at least I felt like I looked guilty. And the TSA agent starts approaching me slowly, and I'm like, oh God, he knows something. He's going to ask me some questions. I don't know what I'm going to say to him. And he leans forward closer to me, and he's like, so are you guys going to go to a different town? And I'm like, what? I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah, for season 2, are you guys going to go to a different town? And oh my God, my heart was like racing. I don't know, I was like breaking out in a sweat, and I totally forgot that I was even on a show called Ghosts of Shepherdstown, and this TSA agent was just looking at me like, what is wrong with this girl? But they didn't find the Mini E.
Because I know I'm afraid to go through security with a set of dowsing rods.
Oh my God!
Now you see. Now you see why it'd be much easier if she just ships it to me and I'll drive it up.
Yes,
exactly. Then I don't have to stress out about losing it or them blowing it up. Oh my God!
Yes, that does make perfect sense to me. Chris, take over a minute.
You know, whenever I take my shaman stuff on airplanes, especially if I go to the O'Hare Airport in Chicago, my bag gets tossed every time. I get that note in there. Hey, we checked your bag, because it's it's got it's like crystals and feathers and stuff and sage, and they just think it's all contraband. So my luggage is just wrecked. Happens every time.
My God.
I hate flying with the stuff. I mean, sometimes I can't avoid it, but I just can't stand it. You know, I'm going to go back to the show a little bit for a second, Elizabeth. I think it was the 5th episode, the one where Bill was overcome in the woods.
Right.
Is that the 5th one?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did watch it. So, and he looked like he was pretty, done in. What was really going on? Do you think? I mean, you were there. I mean, you guys talked about it, but what was your take on it? Because you were right there with them.
Yeah, we were in the woods for so long, and it was really when we came across that one area that, I mean, first of all, the couple that was with us, they were kind of drawn to that area to begin with, and then as soon as Bill entered the space, he just immediately started not feeling so good. And people only see a few minutes of this, but oh my God, it could have been a good hour that we were in that spot. Wow. And the strange thing was that, like, Nick, everyone saw that Nick was like ahead of us up on like the mountain or up on some rocks up there, and I was using two different FLIRs at the same time. One that was adapted to my phone, and then one was a handheld one. And we saw these like things come up beside him. The strange thing was that like we were trying to shout out to Nick, and he was just not responding to us. It was like there was some sort of barrier between us and him.
Right.
And they didn't show this in the show, but he actually ran off into the woods for like a good 20 minutes, and we had no idea where he went. And he said that he was like following some red orbs in the woods. I thought that was bizarre.
Yeah.
But this whole time, Bill was definitely taken over by something, and he said he was burning up, but really when you touched his arm, it was ice cold.
Yeah.
It was really, I'd never seen him get like that at all. He's not the kind of guy to be affected by anything. He'll tell you that right off the bat. And I mean, that was pretty strange. I don't know exactly what it was, but I heard from Dana Mitchell prior to us going into the woods that there was something strange about the woods in Shepherdstown, and I was like, okay, I don't really believe you. I was thinking that to myself, and she would show me these pictures all the time with like these strange, I don't know, she would capture some really bizarre things in the woods, and she said that like a lot of inhuman beings kind of lived in the woods, and I didn't believe it until I actually was there. It was so bizarre. I felt like you could have stayed, like time was just lost in the woods, and it was weird for me too, because I'm usually the one sensing all of these things, but I think I was so distracted by all the things going on and the way it was affecting Nick and the way it was affecting Bill that I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't get affected the way that they did.
That's interesting. I mean, it sounds like, because I agree, like there'll be when the energy changes like that in a place, it's like you can't yell out of it. I mean, it deadens everything, and it might even deaden your abilities a little bit to an extent. I mean, I'd have to go in there and check it out myself, but man, that just sounds wild.
Right.
Like there's a place up around Connecticut, and they call it it's like the Bermuda Triangle, only it's on land. And so there's a fairly decent movie out there, a documentary about it that I saw at a Paracon in Texas. And one of the things they think was out there was called a puckwagon, and a puckwagon is a Native American, like a little person, only it causes all kinds of havoc and things like that. So I was wondering, when you're talking about these things up by Nick, if they weren't involved somehow in this whole thing, because that's kind of that's their area. That's that eastern woodland Indians, and had the issues with that. So that's interesting. Weren't they referring to it? There had been some witchcraft or something there where people were playing around with that, or I heard
said that, but I mean, we can't confirm that that's what it was. Yeah, there were some symbols on the rocks, but I'm sure that people mess around. In Shepherdstown in general. I mean, it is a college town. And what also was weird, aside from those two beings next to Nick, is, and unfortunately they didn't show this clip, but there were distinct, like, there were people in the woods behind Nick, like, passing through the trees. At least they appeared to be like people. They were definitely figures on the FLIR, and you couldn't see them with your own eyes, but in the FLIR you could definitely see like these figures passing amongst the trees. It was weird. At one point it got really bizarre. It was like a bunch of people were coming to us. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It really threw me off.
Yeah, the trees could be hiding. Sometimes things hide in trees. And it's kind of weird, but yeah, you think, doesn't it drive you insane about all this cool stuff that you saw and witnessed and was on the FLIR and everything, and it doesn't make it on the show?
Oh, absolutely. And I try to explain that to people. Is like, like each one of these cases we spent about a week on, and they make it seem like 1 or 2 long days or whatever it is, but we spend the whole week usually at that location getting to know it, getting to do our research, interviews, we do usually we did a full daytime investigation, and then we also did nighttime investigation. So there was just so many hours of footage, and I mean, a lot of it is just boring. Us sitting around asking questions, trying to go here, trying to go there, and getting no response. But I think what really helped with Shepherdstown was we were in these locations for an extended period of time, and they get used to your energy and they start to come out more. And I really noticed a difference with that, because you don't usually get the opportunity to stay at a location longer than one night.
Yep.
And I think it really helped us in communicating with these spirits in Shepherdstown, the fact that we were there for a few months.
That makes sense. That really does. Because, yeah, you walk into a place on a night, just one night, if they don't know you, and some spirits are like that. If they don't know you, they won't come out. Other spirits will, because they like the attention, or they want to mess with you, one of the two. But that's an excellent point you bring up there, that they don't know you're not going to come out, but they get used to you, and they might become more inquisitive and see what you're about. But, yeah, that is interesting. Now, was everybody in Shepherdstown friendly, or were some people thought it was a bunch of shit, or that type of stuff?
No, I mean, honestly, for the most part, I didn't meet anyone that wasn't friendly. Everyone was really welcoming. It is a small town, but they treated us like family. I mean, I know the three of us have made a lot of lifelong friends in Shepherdstown. So they were just fantastic.
That's good. Now, Mike, the police chief, he seems like a great guy. Whenever
he's fantastic. Yeah.
Now,
I feel for him, though. I mean, I really feel for the guy, because it's like him and three other people that run the department. And a lot of people also don't realize is that, you know, if people have a problem in the town, they call Mike directly on his cell phone, or they call the mayor. It's just like that tight-knit of a town. And I can't tell. There wasn't like a time that I was with Mike where his phone wasn't ringing off the hook, or he wasn't on a phone call, or had to go somewhere. Like, it was constant for him. I'm even surprised he made it on the show, to be honest with you. He worked so hard in that town.
I want to interject on Mike just a moment. That was two things that happened during the show, which I'm sure it didn't really happen like this, but that's the way it came across in the edit. But when they found, first you had the episode where you had the body reported floating in the river, and then the episode where the woman heard a gunshot. And on the TV show, it comes across as, okay, we've got a report of a body floating in the river. Let's call the paranormal team. And and it just hit me that
fish it out.
Gunshots reported downtown. Call the paranormal team. And I'm thinking, that sounds off.
Really funny. Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, the sequence of events wasn't quite like that. They always would scout out the location beforehand. Like, anytime we went to a residential location, they would go ahead of us and, like, clear to make sure, like, whatever.
Well, see, that came across.
Happening or not happening.
Now, the residentials came across that way.
If he thought it was paranormal, he'd come to us.
Yeah, the residentials came across that way. You know, he was always there, and he said, you know, I can't find anything, so I called you. But in those two instances, it was like, body in the river, call Nick.
I totally missed that. I'm going to have to go back and watch that. That's really funny.
You have to watch it with my attitude, too. I'm actually thinking about starting doing my own movie reviews in real time. And just every time I notice something bizarre.
He was doing that on Twitter. I mean, it's like, you know, it's like you have to experience it, Elizabeth. You have to know when he's actually watching the movie, and then you know, make sure you get all of his tweets and watch, and he'll describe the movie to you. It's really kind of funny.
That is, I would love to witness that.
I find, well, when something bizarre hits me, Anita, the one I was watching last night was some of the people are coming to Scarefest, and Anita said, "Don't make fun of the movie. Don't make fun of the movie." I'm like, I'm not. There were some things that hit me as bizarre, and a lot of it was just because of the date it was made in the 80s, and a lot of it was just embarrassing the shit out of me because the movie is Sleepaway Camp, everyone, and so you got these teenagers, and they're dressed as teenagers dressed in the early 80s. And you know what, Chris? I'm embarrassed. I dress like that, and I am embarrassed.
I have to see this now because I'm trying to forget how I dressed back in the 80s,
men's shorts, were tight.
Yes.
Short and tight.
Yep.
And yes, listeners, I did own 2 or 3 cutoff T-shirts. But back then I had abs, so it looked a lot better than it would today. So don't try not to picture me now wearing one. But and the little things like we wore bandanas around our neck, little tight bandanas as a necklace, and it was I am part of a really tacky generation. That's the only way I can put it.
Yeah, we had our moments. The disco. Well, you see, you like disco. I don't like disco, but you like it, and so I think that's just a era in time. I just assumed. I tried to drink it away back then, and it was still there. So I just have to blot it from my mind now.
The only thing I can tell you, I've observed it. If you want people on the dance floor, you play the tackiest disco song you can find, and people will dance to it. So
that's because they're intoxicated.
Be that as it may. Now on the witchcraft angle, well, actually, on the whole show, okay. On the last episode, the show reported that you did have some closure. You figured out at least part of the problem, and that the activity. Mm-hmm. Now, have you heard of reports? Is the activity just like back down to normal, or is it really, really down? Or what's the backstory on that? What do you know about that?
Yeah, so I mean, I just talked to Chief King recently, and he said that apparently there's still activity in the town. And I know that, the end of the show, we kind of had some resolve, with what everybody thought was the reason why there was this, I guess, other presence in Shepherdstown that was causing all the activity. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they're still having activity, and I don't know. I mean, that last episode, I think everybody watched. I had this whole experience down in the basement, and I felt like it was something else there. To be honest with you, I just had a totally different experience than the way it went, I guess.
Well, now, the reason I wanted to interject that was the whole witchcraft angle. And I don't even like using the term witchcraft because it's not true witchcraft. I'll tell you one thing that goes on. I've encountered it. Me and Chris have talked about it. It's more of I'll call it internet craft. These teenagers and college kids love to go online and they read these spells. And they go, cool, let's summon a demon. Yeah. And they go out, and basically they do it wrong. But they do it just close enough to stir the pot. And I realize that any skeptic, I lose all skepticism when I talk about stuff like that. But for something I'll just put it this way, and it sounds like you were with me. I was not satisfied by that last show. I felt like there has to be more to it. That just does not explain everything that you all were hitting on. But the weird witchcraft references to me is more of a lead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think other things are going on there, and I mean, I don't know. I would really like to figure it out more. I mean, also there's so many places in which I wish we had the opportunity to investigate, and we didn't. And one of them being actually Miller Hall, which would kind of go along with your theme, that it was kids meddling in the town and stirring things up. But I've heard that place has had a lot of activity. And that's one place that I regret never going to or never getting the chance to walk into and see if I have any experiences or anything like that. So I don't know. I mean, I absolutely agree with you. I think something else is going on there. And I mean, maybe this theory is part of it, but the activity is still happening there. There's so much history in that town to begin with. But that being said, I mean, I was surprised by the level in which we were having, like, intelligent hauntings. Like, I would have thought because of all the history we would have more experiences with residual hauntings. And there was a lot of intelligent activity there.
Residual hauntings make my ass itch. So that's a whole nother show. We don't have time to cover it this show.
That's fine. But but just because, I don't know, I felt like there would be more, like, period-based hauntings, if I could say it like that.
Well, you can say it like that.
Yeah.
I guess. All right, we'll have to talk about it later.
Okay, very quickly, and I won't, without going into my theory on residual hauntings, the reason you would not have encountered them is, to me, residual, it's rare for me to encounter what I would classify as residual haunting when the haunting itself is strong. So when you all went into this town with this peak of activity, to me, based on my theory of residual hauntings, that almost overwrites what you would be encountering.
Right.
And that does, that probably doesn't make sense without doing the whole show on it.
Right. No, I would agree with you.
Okay, Chris, I'm done interrupting now.
Yeah, and I can tell you're frustrated, Elizabeth, with having to walk away, and you knew that it wasn't done yet.
Yeah.
And I don't like that either. It does, it sticks in your craw, and all you want to do is go back, because you develop a relationship with the people that you're working with, and you don't want to leave. But sometimes you got to. It's just not very fulfilling to do it that way.
Right.
So yeah, I know that's difficult. Through the whole time you're there, it didn't have to be on the show or not. When was the time that you felt the most scared?
The most scared,
You got to say, but where
I don't know if scared is the word.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, there's two instances that really stuck out in my mind when it came to Shepherdstown. The one was the episode with Ray in the attic.
Yeah.
The other was definitely this season finale episode down in the basement. And I think it's because a lot of people don't realize what actually happened to me. And I was down in the basement for like over a half hour. Apparently, this is what Nick and Bill told me, because I have no recollection of it. The only thing I remember is up to the point where I suddenly started getting images of this woman and her baby. And I remember like looking over the well and feeling like I did something wrong. And I just apparently in that moment, I just like completely blacked out. I don't remember anything after that. Mm-hmm. But what they told me was I was pacing back and forth in the room, and I was saying how sorry I was, and I couldn't leave this space because I didn't want to leave my baby, mm-hmm. and how much I regretted what happened, and they said this was going on for like a half hour, and then Bill apparently went upstairs and said to Nick, like, you need to get her out of there. And then that's apparently when Nick came down into the basement and guided me back out of the house. It wasn't until he got me out of the house that everything started to come to again, and I just like came to like me crying hysterically to him. And I remember saying, like, I don't know what is happening, like this isn't supposed to happen. I couldn't recall. He's like, do you have any idea what you were saying down in the basement? I'm like, no, I have no idea. And I'm like, Nick, why is this happening to me? Like, and that was probably, that's the second time something like that has happened to me in my life. Mm-hmm. The first time was on an investigation that I had with, it was a paranormal clergy case. And that was also a really intense case as well. And I would rank them probably equally. But yeah, I think that's probably, if I would use the term scared, like that's probably the scariest I've been in Shepherdstown, just because like it was good, I guess, for that spirit to tell her story or get out whatever emotion she was feeling. And I think why she latched on to me was I just had my child right before going into Shepherdstown. So we had that like connection. Yep. Of missing, like I missed my child, she missed her child, and I think that's why she felt like I was a good vessel to tell her story. But unfortunately, they didn't show all that on the TV. I don't know why,
I don't either. That's good stuff. I mean, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You hear these words, you feel the person, and all of a sudden, if you're not, it's like I said, I've let it happen to me before, where all of a sudden I've got their emotions, and I'm saying stuff, and I don't know where it's coming from. I can generally remember it, but yeah, it's just like they touch you, and you've all of a sudden they've got part of them in you, and you get all these flashes and all these. You start saying stuff that they're saying they want you to say, and it is scary. I mean, it was scary for me. The time it happened to me. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And again, here they don't show it on the show. It's probably one of the most poignant.
Probably
cool
because
things.
I didn't mention the witch.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to stay on the storyline. I know. I've talked to guys before. If it wasn't part of the story, they won't. It could be the most amazing thing in the world. An apparition could become fully viewable and the whole 9 yards. But if it didn't stick with the story, they wouldn't show it. And so it's hard. It is hard. What was your favorite episode? All the 6 that went out.
My favorite was definitely the episode with Ray Ray. And Nick and I really connected with that spirit up in the attic. We had a really long EVP session with her. She definitely confirmed who she was and told us that she missed her mother and stuff like that, which I don't understand why they didn't show that stuff.
Wow.
But I just really connected with her, and it was so heartbreaking, and it was weird too, because there was definitely something else up there the moment when so we had the ceiling cave in on us, which was a little strange. And we set up that laser grid, and I'm like, I've never had this damn laser grid really work for me, and I've used it so many times just to try. And sure enough, when we were looking up in the attic, and mind you, we weren't allowed from production to go back into the attic until they cleared us and made sure it was safe. So I know a lot of people were like, why wouldn't you go back into the attic? So much is happening, but it wasn't our call. We weren't allowed to. So there was, I sensed the little girl spirit there, and in times when I was in the attic communicating with her, I felt her there. But when we were standing at the bottom of those steps, there was something else there aside from Ray Ray. I felt like she was lurking in the background, but whatever else that was there with us, I don't know what that was. But Bill said as he was approaching the top of the stairs, he actually had the doorknob turning in his hand, and he said to production, he started getting mad. He was like, I better not find another person on the other side of this door, because we really thought that someone was just messing with us, and that someone else was on the other side of the door, because we heard somebody walking up there, and it was like someone was holding themselves against the door when Bill was trying to open it for the first time. Oh man, there's just so much happened at that house. I mean, it was pretty crazy. Yeah, probably one of my favorites.
Yeah, that was a cool episode. I think a lot of people liked that, from what I could sense out in the internet and stuff like that. But it was I could tell how much you guys were into it, and what's going on, stuff like that. Gosh, let me think. I should have a list of questions. What? I don't.
Well, we're almost at the end of the show anyway.
Oh, is it getting that close? Yeah, it is.
I'll throw one in here. Okay, this is a little. Now, whether or not they would have played it on TV, but Elizabeth, okay. Here's the mindset you're going to see when I go to Paranormal Ferrari with you. On the gunshot episode, once the medium contacted the ghost, and she said he just wants to apologize.
Right.
And I was sitting there in my chair going, well, then tell him to quit being such a dick. And that was where my tweet came from today. But I have just come of this mindset that I have no tolerance for ghosts, for the peckerish ones, and and that just hit me. He wants to apologize. Tell him to behave. That's rule number one. But so anyway, we need to let's close that show talking about Farrar. Okay, everybody, paranormalfiller.com/Farrar, or just go to paranormalfiller.com. It's not like the link's hidden. It's all over. I've got it all over 3 websites, so I think you can find it. But get your tickets. You will have one-on-one time. We're going to do a Q&A before we start. We'll have a nice big meet and greet, so you have plenty of FaceTime with Elizabeth, who incidentally, listeners, wanted to start at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon and go all night because she's still a young pup. But we are limiting it to that evening. But yes. You will have some time for them, and you can book your hotel room. Cute story to close that out. I spend 2 hours on the phone with the hotel getting us a discount.
Yes.
Chris Sutton calls and they say, you don't need the discount. We'll give it to you anyway.
Yeah, like, he's like William Shatner, the price finder, or whatever that commercial is. Yeah, he cut us a good deal. Yeah, well done.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I put in the effort regardless.
You did, and the lady did tell me. She goes, now sometimes these things go up, so it's good to have that. That way, you make sure you get that price, because if something happens and if we expect more people to be coming, then that price will go up. So you've got it at least locked in at that. I said, okay, so
good.
And I was able to get anyway. I got even more because I have an AARP card, so they worked well with me, and so that's the Motel 6 Altoona in Des Moines is our host motel. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a good event. Wes and I have worked together before, and we're just like tickled pink to get to work with Elizabeth. And Elizabeth likes to have fun. Wes and I like to have fun, but we also like to have a good investigation. And it's going to be a great time.
Now, speaking of fun, are you coming up? Are you going to be there? When are you rolling into town, Elizabeth?
Whenever you guys want me to.
Well, no, it should. I should say it should be based on your availability of flights, or unless you're driving, I don't know. But I'm going to be there. I'm rolling into town Friday. My plan is I'm going to drive in all day Friday, then have Friday night, and then Saturday to recuperate. And so anyway, I'll be calling you if you're going to be there Friday night. I'll be calling you on your cell phone saying let's find a bar. But
okay,
that's because that's who I am. And now the only thing I forget who it was on Twitter, actually did a little video about it. Is telling everybody at 5 o'clock on Saturday at some coffee shop in town. Everybody try to meet there. I hate to say it, I'm not sure if we've got to be there by 6. I guess.
It'd be tough to us to make it. Yeah, a guy named Aaron did that. He did a real cool job. It was really neat. It was. I enjoyed.
Maybe
that.
he meant 5 in the morning.
Oh my!
Well, then he's no longer my friend. I will unfollow his ass right now. Let's no, I'm not kidding. Yeah. I don't do 5. The only way I do 5 a.m. is if I started at 9 p.m. That's now I have been known to pull that off a few times.
Yeah.
But want to close it out. But everybody, once again, this is a great change. I didn't see anything. Is this your first headliner event?
My first headliner event.
In other words, where you're actually going through.
I don't know.
Because you're the headliner.
Yeah, you're it, babe.
I guess so. I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. I feel snazzy now.
Well, you should. Well, okay. So that's even more of a reason to come to this event, because you can say there that you were there for Elizabeth Saint's first headliner event.
Yep. And Wes and I will carry you in on a litter. How's that sound?
Oh, please. No. Okay.
I got a bad back anyway.
I'll carry you guys in.
So everybody, help us get the word out, because, okay, at the end of the day, we're still doing this in Iowa. Although, oddly enough, there are a lot of freaking paranormal teams in Iowa. So we do have a good base over there. But if you're willing to make the trip, people, we really look forward to meeting you. And I'm looking forward to working with Elizabeth. And of course, don't forget the Scarefest at the end of September into the 1st of October. She'll be there with us. And once again, paranormalfiller.com. Click the Paranormal for Our button. Get your tickets, because now if these things, we having not been to the location, we've had a recommended number, and we were not in great fear of going over that number. But if we see, if you don't wait to the last minute, if we see a week before the event that the crowd is getting out of hand more than we think the location can handle, we can cut off those ticket sales at any time. So
right.
So I do want to remind everybody of that. So Elizabeth, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Chris, thanks for coming on.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
And it's been fun. I think this was more fun than our first one because episode Elizabeth, because well, I didn't know anything about you. In the meantime, I got to see the show in it, and I got to
also it was my first one. It was honestly my first one. So
there, as we would as we would say in Kentucky, I broke your maiden twice. That sounds really dirty. That sounds really dirty, but it's your first race. That's your thoroughbred term.
I'm sorry, Elizabeth. I didn't do my job well enough. He got me.
Chris, where are you?
I know.
But anyway,
I'm sorry. I thought at the end of the show, I thought, no, he's been good so far. No, it happened.
There it is.
There it is. Okay, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. This has been Paranormal Filler. Looking forward to meeting each and every one of you.
Paranormal Filler.